สวัสดีครับสบายดีไหมครับ
สวัสดีค่ะสบายดีไหม
A country in Southeast Asia spanning over 513,120 with a population of almost 70 million.
A place wherein amazing is never ending, culture that is as rich as the king himself, that influences India, China, and Cambodia.
And with religions such as Hinduism and Buddhism, this melting pot offers a unique blend of culture for everyone to enjoy.
One of the highly developed infrastructure while still being one of the cheapest destinations. Let's know more about the Kingdom of Thailand.
Three, two, one.
Hi everyone, this is Mecca Amil speaking. Let's start with a brief history of Thailand, the land of free. So in the early days, little is known of Thailand's earliest inhabitants, but there are archaeological sites in the northeast of the country that contain evidence of rice cultivation and bronze casting that date back 5,000 years ago. In the early days, a succession of tribal groups controlled what we now know as Thailand. The Mon and Khmer people established powerful kingdoms that came into contact with other South Asian people and absorbed their religious, political, and their cultural ideas, which later influenced the development of Thailand's culture and national identity. The Thai people. The Thai people originally lived in southwest China and migrated into the main part of Southeast Asia over many centuries. The first mention of their existence in the region is a 12th century AD inscription at Angkor Wat, which refers to Siam or dark brown people as being vassals of the Khmer monarch. This is how Thailand became known as Siam and its people the Siamese. So Thailand was called Siam before. In 1238, at Sukhothai, a Thai chieftain declared his independence from the Khmer and established a kingdom in the broad valley of the Mainam River in the heart of modern-day Thailand. And in 14th century, Sukhothai was succeeded by the kingdom of Ayutthaya and became very powerful until the Burmese totally destroyed it due to some conflicts in the year 1767. After a couple of years, two national heroes, Thaksin and Chakri, soon expelled the invaders and reunified the country under the Chakri dynasty. In 1782, Chakri established his new capital in Bangkok. He was later given the title of Rama I and was the first king of the Chakri dynasty, which has held power to this day. Thailand has successfully preserved their independence and it was the only Southeast Asian country to do so. Mongkut, the fourth king, and Chulalongkorn, the fifth king, openly negotiated with the European powers to adopt European-style reforms that modernized the country. In the early decades of the 20th century, Thailand's political system, armed forces, and economy underwent drastic changes. In the year 1932, a bloodless coup d'etat by military officers and civil servants ended the absolute monarchy and inaugurated Thailand's constitutional era. Thailand changed its name from Siam in 1949. In the modern era, Thailand has a fledgling democracy, watched over by the military and the new king, who has just taken over the reins from HM King Bhumibol Adulyadej, the ninth king of the Chakri dynasty, who was the country's longest reigning monarch until his death in 2016. So that is all for the history of Thailand. Now, let's move on to the people of Thailand to be reported by Glidel May Amoroto. Glidel?
Thank you, Mika. Good day, everyone. So I am Glidel May Amoroto, and today we are going to discuss about the people in Thailand. So the people of Thailand are called Thais, which can refer both to the citizens of Thailand and ethnic Thais, who are related to ethnic Lao in Laos. So there are almost 70 million people in Thailand, and about 34% of the people in Thailand live in urban areas. The other 66% live mostly in small agricultural villages. So Thai are also known as Kon Thai, Central Thai, Siamese, Thai, Siam, and Ti. They make up roughly 3/4 of Thailand's population and live primarily in central and southern Thailand, with a traditional base in the central alluvial plain around the Chao Phraya River, which runs through Bangkok. So here are some of the characteristics of the people in Thailand. They are friendly. There's a reason why Thailand is known as the land of smiles. The people are always smiling. When you see them on the street, at restaurants, at the 7-Eleven, and even the police. They are also creative, adaptable, helpful. Ingrained in their culture, Thai people always lend a hand when the occasion arises. You'll see it everywhere. They are also foodies. If you appreciate all the complexities of food culture, then you will love Thai people. Diversity. A land with many types of ethnic groups ranging from Karen tribes to Chinese origins, you'll encounter so many interesting and exotic cultures while traveling through the country from the southern beaches to the mountainous north. They are also cool. One thing you'll notice in Thailand is how cool and hip Thai people are. You'll especially notice it in the cafes, restaurants, and fashion boutiques. How Thai people have assimilated all the latest trends and put their own Thai spin on it. They're also patient. Part of the Buddhist teachings is patience, and since Thailand is mostly a Buddhist country, you'll totally appreciate just how patient Thai people are to most situations. And lastly, Thai people are hospitable. It's part of Thai culture to be respectful of others and above all, take immaculate care of guests. And that would be all about the Thai people. And next, we'll have Mark Kevin Armas for another discussion about Thailand. Thank you.
สวัสดีครับ Mark Kevin Armas นะครับ and today we're going to answer the question, what is Thailand known for? First on the list is that Thailand is known for Buddhist temples and monks.
Thailand is famous for being one of the most devoted Buddhist countries. Around 94% of Thailand's population are Buddhist. There are over 40,000 Buddhist temples and sanctuaries in Thailand and about 300,000 monks. With over 41,000 Buddhist temples across the country, you can imagine there are plenty of monks around. In fact, it is estimated there are over 300,000 monks throughout Thailand. Monks are highly respected in Thailand. On the trains, you will see signs which request that you offer them priority seats. There are even express lines for monks at immigration checkpoints and most ticketing venues. Remember, women are not allowed to touch monks, not even as a greeting gesture like shaking hands. Thailand is a heavily Buddhist country with more than 41,000 temples and more being built all the time. In many regions, you can easily explore 4 to 5 temples in one day on foot. Some of the most iconic temples in Thailand are the White Temple in Chiang Rai, Wat Phra Kaew in Bangkok, Wat Raburana in Ayutthaya, and Wat Tui Sotep in Chiang Mai. Note that Wat means temple in Thai.
Next is that Thailand is known for tuk-tuks.
They are loud, hot, and commonly referred to as tuk-tuk mafia. However, when in Thailand, you must cruise around town in the backseat of a 3-wheeled tuk-tuk. It's only then that you will truly appreciate how fun it is zooming through the traffic in Thailand's most iconic vehicle. Tuk-tuks are typically more expensive than taxis, so you won't be catching them every day, but it is worth a trip or two for the novelty.
Also, Thailand is known for elephant pants.
Wearing elephant pants is a culture created by backpackers. Walk down Khao San Road and you will see about half of the travelers wearing these iconic, baggy yet super comfortable pants. Thailand is too hot for jeans, yet long pants are required to enter temples. So elephant pants quickly became the answer for travelers. Elephant pants can be bought in night markets and walking streets.
And they are also known for this sport, Muay Thai.
Muay Thai, which translates to Thai boxing, is a national sport of Thailand. It is a martial art with roots originating from military use dating back to around the 13th century during the time of Sukhothai Kingdom. Muay Thai is effectively Thailand's national sport. In Bangkok, it is common to see taxi drivers crowded around a roadside TV shouting in unison and making bets on which fighter will win. Whenever you see a poster for an energy drink around town, they also seem to be sponsoring the latest and greatest fighters. Muay Thai is really ingrained in Thailand's culture. If you want to attend a fight, then Lumpini Stadium in Bangkok's outer district called Bangkhaen is a place to be.
And the famous Grand Palace.
The Grand Palace is for many the essential first stop, a 60-acre shrine to Thai culture. The high walls of this former official residence of the Thai royal family contain palatial architecture, gilded holy sites, and epic artworks. It's the stop that grounds you in the grand history of Thailand.
And the Chatuchak Weekend Market.
This market is half the size of the Grand Palace, making it one of the best places to buy Thailand souvenirs. The largest street market on the continent. This is an Aladdin's cave of intriguing knickknacks, real finds, and the world's greatest selection of elephant puns. Less intense is a famous Khao Road. This tourist hub, a magnet for backpackers in particular, has established itself as a place for travelers to mingle in raucous bars, procure rollistics of dubious provenance, and scoff bowlfuls of pad thai. Since it's just a short walk north of a grand palace, it's possible to swing by for a taste of its rambunctious notoriety or a longer stay depending on how it grabs you.
We have here the floating market.
Are fascinating makeshift marketplaces that are set up in the waterways of Thailand, particularly in the city of Bangkok. These markets are created with boats and floating platforms and sell everything from fruit and flowers to street foods and souvenirs. Even if you don't wish to buy anything, the floating markets themselves are a sight to behold, and visiting at least one should be on your bucket list. The colors, smells, sounds, and sights of a bustling float market will stay with you for a lifetime, and exploring one of these markets is a wonderful way to get an insight into a local life.
And one of the best, elephants.
Elephants are the national animal of Thailand, and as such, they are somewhat of an icon within the country. Even Thailand's main brand of beer, Chang, is named after the Thai word for elephant. The Indian elephants that reside in Thailand have had a difficult history, with many being used as logging labor and domestic pets, often with severe maltreatment. This species is now endangered in Thailand, with just 1,000 thought to exist here in the wild. For a while, elephant tourism was a big business, with many companies offering elephant rides and experiences. However, as we have learned more about animal welfare and the impact these experiences were having on the elephants, this has significantly reduced and is highly discouraged. Instead, you can witness elephants in sustainable, safe settings such as dedicated animal sanctuaries, where you may be able to help wash and care for these gentle giants.
And my personal favorites, the festivals.
Thai people love festivals. There are many colorful festivals taking place around Thailand throughout the year. Many of them are derived from the things like religion or the lunar calendar. One of the most important Thai festivals is the Light Festival, Loi Krathong, held in November every year alongside the Chiang Mai Yiping Lantern Festival, which is famous for thousands of lanterns flying into the night sky.
And the one that you should look out for, the ladyboys.
Ladyboys, kathoy in Thai, are surprisingly common in Thailand. In this open country of Thailand, ladyboys live like other Thai people. They work as hairdressers, filmmakers, waitresses, models, and other jobs that you would usually find women doing. In some of Thailand's main tourist areas like Bangkok, Pattaya, Phuket, and Chiang Mai, it is possible to attend a ladyboy cabaret show or visit a ladyboy bar.
So, those are just few of the many things that Thailand is known for. Let's have our next reporter, Sawadee Kap, and God bless.
Good day again, listeners. So, at this juncture, I am going to discuss to you the language that Thai people are using. So, the Thai language is also called as Siamese. It is the standard spoken and literary language of Thailand, belonging to the Thai language family of Southeast Asia. It is based largely on the dialect of Bangkok and its environs in the central region of the country, but it retains certain consonant distinction, such as the L versus R, KL versus K, which are usually merged in the spoken language but preserved in the orthography. Other dialects differ mostly in their tones, and to some degree, their consonants are spoken in other major regions of the country. These are the northeastern, example are in Upper Ratchathani and the Khon Kaen. The northern, it is around Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai, and southern, it is in Songkhla and Nakhon Si Thammarat. The northeastern dialects are similar to those of Laos. The Thai people are freely incorporated foreign words. Perhaps the oldest are the Chinese, but recent Chinese loanwords also occur. Hundreds of elegant and literary words are taken from Pali and Sanskrit, and new words are also coined from Sanskrit roots. There are also loanwords from Khmer, Khmer is the official language of Cambodia. From 16th century Portuguese, from Austronesian, and in modern times increasingly from English. The Thai alphabet was instituted in the 13th century. It derives ultimately from the southern type of the index script. Writing proceeds from left to right, and spaces indicate punctuation but not word division. The alphabet has 44 consonant signs, 4 tone markers, and many vowel markers. So what languages are spoken in Thailand? The Thai language is part of a large umbrella group called Thai, or Thai Kadai. Thai Kadai originated from Proto-Thai, whose speakers migrated to Southeastern Asia over 2,000 years ago. The Thai language was first written in 1283, and the official language is still very close to its original form. There are 51 distinct indigenous languages in Thailand, and they can be sorted into 5 overarching language families. So the 5 major languages in Thailand are the Central Thai, the East, and this name represents all the dialects of the Lao language. The Southern Thai. People in the south of Thailand speak the Southern Thai dialect. Northern Thai. The dialect is spoken in the north of Thailand. The Thai. That is the main language. So that's all for the Thai language. Next up, we'll have Charmaine Regalado to discuss to us the traditional and religious practices in Thailand.
Sawadi! This is Charm, and I will let you enjoy the religious and traditional practices of Thailand. Thailand's culture incorporates many influences, as would be expected from its constantly changing government and kingdoms throughout the centuries. Religious influences have been mainly comprised of animism, Hinduism, and Buddhism. Thailand's population is nearly 94% Theravada Buddhist. The next closest minority religions are Muslim, about 5%, and Christian, about 1%. Temples. Temples or wats are a definitive part of the culture of Thailand. There are over 40,000 temples in Thailand. Most are active, while others are in ruins. These temples are the sacred places to pray for good health and fortune, make merits, show respect for your ancestors, and gain clarity from the advices of the resident monks when you are in a rough path in life. As you approach the temples, you are sure to smell the fragrance of incense, exchange smiles with golden-robed monk, and appreciate the detailed architectural design. Upon entering a wat, there is an immediate sense of calm reverence that should be respected. Of course, there are rules we need to abide. First, visitors should always dress appropriately. Shoes should be removed before entering as well. You should stay out of the way of worshippers, back away from the Buddha rather than turning your back, and never point your feet at a Buddha statue. All visitors should avoid touching objects in the temple, and women should never touch a monk. Even accidentally brushing against a monk's robe requires him to go through a lengthy cleansing ceremony. Religious beliefs. Buddhism in Thailand has a great impact on the people's beliefs and traditions. Thais are strongly influenced by traditions regarding ancestral and natural spirit. Did you know that one of the religious beliefs in Thailand is that spirits must be kept happy at all times? Thai families often build a small house to hold these spirits. Food and drink offerings are left in the spirit houses on a regular basis to keep them content. It is believed that if they are not kept happy, then the household will experience chaos. As you travel throughout Thailand, you will see this located directly outside the home's main entrance. Festivals and celebrations. Thailand never fails to amaze its countless visitors with the most colorful festivities and events sure to delight you with glimpses into the country's heritage and traditions. Here are some of the famous festivals that make Thailand's culture and traditions beloved by so many people across the world. Songkran Water Festival. If you're after the biggest water fight the world has to offer, look no further than Thailand's New Year festivities. Water is a huge part of the Songkran Festival, which takes place in mid-April and marks the end of the dry season. Processions, parades, and parties take place right across the country. Prepare to get soggy and all wet. Chiang Mai Flower Festival. Let the sweet smell of jasmine and hibiscus guide you to the Rose of the North, Chiang Mai.
Floral representations of temples, elephants, and even the Buddha himself, accompanied by traditionally dressed dancers and marching bands, fill the streets and parks. Loy Krathong and Yipeng. Songkran is the wettest and wildest of all Thai festivals. Loy Krathong and Yipeng, Thailand's lantern festivals, are surely the most peaceful and beautiful. The events take place during full moon, and in contrast to Songkran, they mark the end of the rainy season. For Yipeng, thousands of floating fire lanterns are released up to the sky, while for Loy Krathong, which is celebrated on the same day, many floating lanterns known as krathongs are set peacefully adrift down rivers. During the Festival of Light, krathongs adorned with flowers, incense, and candles are often sent off with a wish or prayer to the water goddess Phra Me Kongka. Thailand is known as the land of 1,000 smiles, and I'm sure this festival will bring a smile to your face. There are a lot of beautiful and breathtaking festivals Thailand has to offer. These features their traditional and religious practices and just flaunt how rich Thailand is in their culture and heritage. Let's have Zachi for the next report.
This country is not just about their famous cuisines like Phan Thai and Thai green curry, but also the classic heritage sites that are situated avid land of beaches and offer a glimpse of its culture and vibrant ethnicity. Come and join me as I walk you down the lane of existence that will definitely blow our minds, the Kingdom of Thailand. Located in Southeast Asia, Thailand is perhaps best known for tropical beaches. However, this country is also full of opulent royal palaces, ancient ruins of imposing Buddhist temples. The historic Pranakon in the capital city of Bangkok has the famous temples of Wat Taron and Wat Po, as well as the Grand Palace complex, which also has the Wat Prakau, or the Temple of the Emerald Buddha. Located along Chao Phraya River, the palace also has various museums and royal pavilions. To the north of the city is the Ayutthaya Historical Park, which has the ruins of the old city. Ayutthaya, which was founded in the 14th century and destroyed by the Burmese army in the 1700s. The town of Pimai, which has the remains of massive 11th century Khmer temple, Prasar Pimai, which once lay along the ancient Khmer highway from Angkor. Further north, we will find the three most historical parks preserving the remains and historical temples and palaces of the three major cities of the Sukhothai Kingdom, which was flourished during 13th and 14th century. This includes the Sukhothai Historical Park, Kampeng Phet Historical Park, and Sishatanalai Historical Park. In historic Old Town, the mountainous city of Chiang Mai, are hundreds of Buddhist temples that dated all the way back to 13th century. Among these are Wat Pratat Doi Suthep, that also the Doi Suthep mountain, Wat Changmen, the oldest temple in Chiang Mai, Wat Prasing, and Wat Chedluang. The city was once the capital of the kingdom Lanna, and a fortified city walls was still be seen today. Both the Wat Pramatat in Nakhon Si Thammarat province and the Wat Pratat Phanom in Nakhon Phanom province are believed to house relics of Gautama Buddha. Lastly, the Pu Prabat Historical Park, which was filled with unusual rock formation where you can find both religious shrines and priest or crocks paintings.
Thank you, Zachi. So it's me again. But now, let us talk about the societal practices in Thailand. So what are the social norms of Thailand? Thais are all about being polite and respectful, even when greeting a stranger. To greet, you say Sawadika if you are a female, or Sawadikrap if you are a male, and use a gesture known as a Y as you say it. The Y is a way to show respect that you will run into a lot in Thailand. So, Thailand's culture can be weird, interesting, and endearing to some outsiders. Many Thai customs and traditions take some getting used to. So, here are some do's and don'ts in Thailand. First is don't expose yourself. This includes not sunbathing topless in Thailand or wearing revealing clothes. Next is don't put your feet up. Like Thai etiquette means not putting your feet up on anything not meant for feet, like a coffee table or a chair, because for them, feet is equals to dirty. And next is don't touch anyone's head. In Thailand, don't touch anyone's head, not even a children. It's the most important part of the body. It is important that you don't touch a Thai person's head or ruffle their hair. Next is don't point. Pointing is a no-no in Thailand. Next is ducking down when walking between two people. You'll see the majority of this duck down slightly when passing in front of two people engaged in conversation. Next is do take off your shoes. Feet are considered dirty in Thailand. In many places, shoes are left outside and feet stay on the floor. Next is keeping your cool. Raising your voice is unacceptable in Thailand and is considered an act of losing control. And that would be all. Thank you.
Over the last 4 decades, Thailand has made remarkable progress in social and economic development, moving from a low-income to an upper-middle-income country in less than a generation.
As such, Thailand has been a widely cited development success story, with sustained strong growth and impressive poverty reduction.
With their unique and rich cultures, innovations on their own economy saves Thai people.
Furthermore, various recognitions around the world have been given to Thailand.
It may be in politics, business, journalism, engineering, and among others.
Because Thailand is a home of culture, a perfect place to communicate your inner thoughts.
This is Group 6, and we thank you for learning with us. Bye, Gonakap. Sawadee Kap.